I believe that nothing should be taken for granted. Knowing how blessed one is and cherishing memories to me are the most important things in life. When I was 14 years old, I went to run some errands with my dad, sister, uncle, his wife, and kids. We were all boarding the van when my uncle stepped in with a blanket wrapped around him. He had a lot less hair than the last time I saw him. It was the month of June. I thought it was unusual for him to be cold in June. As he stepped in, he sat and asked for the air to be turned off. My dad immediately started fumbling with the buttons for the air to be turned off. I had no idea what was going on. Being that I only came to my dad's house when I was invited, it only made sense. I wasn't close to my dad, or my family, so it was normal for me not to know what was happening. We drove off. Along the way, the windows in the car were shut, everyone sweating and hot. Yet no one complained. I saw the worried look on all their faces. But I was never the type of person to speak up or ask questions, so I too joined the silence. My uncle and I didn't speak much. As a kid, I knew nothing about who he was, only to hug him when he arrived and when he left. On the other hand, my sister was always very social. She ran to him when he arrived and cried when he left. I never understood why she reacted that way. We arrived at a store, picked up some food, and left. My dad dropped me off at my mom's house. I said goodbye to my family. My uncle smiled at me. I smiled back and went inside. 2 weeks later, I was walking home from school when a lady in a van who happened to know my dad called me over. "I have bad news." I looked at her. She continued, "Your uncle passed away from cancer." I nodded and walked away. Tears rolled down my face. I arrived home and burst out crying. There was a mix of emotions swelling up inside me. I didn't understand why no one had told me he was sick, or why I had to hear from someone else that he had passed away. The fact of me knowing all of it before would have made a difference. I would have got to know the gentle, loving, and caring uncle that everyone else knew as. I kept my silence for too long, and I took him for granted. I blame myself for it, and now I will never get the chance to speak to him. I will never know who he was. My family grieves still to this day, remembering the happy memories about him. I, however, have moved on from it. Every day, I live with the regret of not speaking. I realize now that it was a lesson learned. From that day on, I keep finding the courage to speak and make every moment count. Don't be afraid to meet new people, make new memories, or ask questions. Silence won't always give you tomorrow. Make every moment count from today. Every person should make memories and cherish every moment a person has with another, because no one knows when the last goodbye will be. I will never forget that only memory I have of him, his last goodbye, his smile.